Later that day, Akudo sat down with Omimi and shared the news. Omimi, his eyes alight with a mixture of hope and uncertainty, listened intently as his mother spoke of the journey that lay ahead. His dreams of becoming a lawyer, of fighting for justice and equality, seemed to drift further away with each passing moment. Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Awa, there lived a young woman named Akudo. Akudo lived in a beautiful bungalow house with her children, Omimi and his sister Ada. They were a small tight-knit family and they cherished each other dearly. Their life in Awa hadn't always been smooth. Akudo, a strong and resilient woman, had recently moved to the village from Lagos with her children after the burial of her late husband Ikoha. Ikoha had been a prosperous businessman, but his sudden demise had left the family shattered, like a fragile glass that fell from a high shelf. Omimi, a bright and hopeful boy, had just completed his senior secondary school before his father's unexpected passing. He dreamt of attending university, of pursuing his passions and making his family proud, but fate had a different plan for him. You see, Omimi's uncle Amadi harbored a deep-seated resentment towards Akudo and her family. Why, you might ask? Well, it all began with a tale of love, envy and betrayal. In the beginning, before the dark clouds of tragedy loomed over their lives, Akudo had captured the heart of Ikoha at first sight. But fate is a fickle friend, and Amadi, Ikoha's own brother, had set his eyes on Akudo long before Ikoha did. However, Akudo's heart belonged to Ikoha, and she rejected Amadi's advances, igniting a flame of jealousy within him. As time passed, Ikoha's business flourished, and happiness seemed to dance around their home like fireflies on a summer night. But Amadi's envy only grew, festering like a wound that refused to heal. He despised his brother's happiness, his success, and most of all, the family he had built. When tragedy struck and Ikoha departed this world without warning, leaving behind a void that could never be filled, Amadi's bitterness reached its peak. He saw an opportunity to claim what he believed was rightfully his, that is Akudo. With malice in his heart and venom on his lips, Amadi threatened Akudo, demanding that she marry him or face the wrath of his fury. But Akudo, with the strength of a lioness, refused to yield to his wicked demands. She stood tall, a beacon of courage and resilience in the face of adversity. But Amadi was not one to be thwarted easily. Flawed by rage and blinded by his own desires, he resorted to vile tactics to torment Akudo and her family. He seized the only 3 pieces of land that Ikoha had inherited from their father, leaving them with nothing but dust and memories. But even in the face of adversity, Akudo remained steadfast. She worked tirelessly to provide for her family, doing odd jobs around the village and selling goods at the market. Omimi and Ada, though young, understood the gravity of their circumstances. They helped their mother however they could, fetching water, tending to the garden, and running errands. As days turned into months, the tension between Akudo's family and Amadi escalated. The villagers whispered, and some sympathized with Akudo, while others stayed silent out of fear of Amadi's wrath. Omimi, with his youthful spirit and unwavering determination, vowed to change their fate. He dreamed of a better future for his family, one where they could live without fear and uncertainty. Despite the odds stacked against them, he refused to give up hope. Akudo and her children remained steadfast in their love for one another. Together, they faced each day with unwavering determination, finding solace in the warmth of their bond. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet the shadow of Amadi's wickedness loomed large over Akudo and her children. Despite their resilience, the weight of his malevolence threatened to crush their spirits like fragile petals caught in a storm. Then, on a fateful day, a ray of hope pierced through the dark clouds that hung over their home. Akudo's friend from the city, a kind-hearted soul with a gentle smile, paid her a visit. With warmth in her voice and sincerity in her eyes, she extended an offer that would change the course of Omimi's life forever. Omimi should come stay with my brother in the city, she suggested. He can serve him in his shop and learn his line of trade. It will be a path to a better future for him and your family too. Akudo's heart swelled with gratitude at the prospect of a brighter tomorrow for her beloved son. Without hesitation, she agreed, for she knew that this opportunity held the key to unlocking their dreams and aspirations. Later that day, Akudo sat down with Omimi and shared the news. Omimi, his eyes alight with a mixture of hope and uncertainty, listened intently as his mother spoke of the journey that lay ahead. His dreams of becoming a lawyer, of fighting for justice and equality, seemed to drift further away with each passing moment. But as he pondered the path laid out before him, Omimi saw beyond the confines of his own desires. He saw the struggles etched upon his mother's face, the sacrifices she had made to keep their family together, and in that moment, he made a decision that would alter the course of their destiny. "I will go to Lagos, Mama," he declared, his voice filled with determination. "I will serve my master and learn his trade. It may not be the path I envisioned, but it is a step towards a better future for us all." Akudo, her heart brimming with pride and love, embraced her son, knowing that this journey would lead him to places he had never dared to dream of. But amidst the whispers of hope that danced upon the wind, a shadow stirred in depths of darkness. Amadi, consumed by his envy and consumed by his rage, could not bear the thought of Omimi finding success beyond the reaches of his grasp. That night, as the moon cast a sleepy glow upon the village, Amadi's thoughts twisted and turned like a serpent in the shadows. The mere idea of Omimi ascending to heights beyond his reach ignited a fire within him, a fire fueled by bitterness and resentment. "If that boy dares to set foot in the city," he sitted, his voice dripping with venom, "if he dares to find success where I have failed, then by the heavens above, I swear he shall not live to see the light of day." With those words hanging heavy in the air, Amadi retreated into the darkness of his abode, his heart filled by a darkness that threatened to swallow him. 2 days later, Omimi boarded a big bus bound for the city of Lagos. His heart was full of dreams and hopes for a bright future. He waved goodbye to his family, promising to return home with success shining in his eyes. When Omimi arrived in Lagos, he met his master, a kind and gentle man, who welcomed him with open arms. His master taught him the ways of their trade, and Omimi proved to be a hardworking and diligent apprentice. Everyone in the shop admired Omimi's dedication, and they all thought he must be related to his master because of how well they worked together. Meanwhile, back in the village, Amadi's heart burned with jealousy when he learned that Omimi had left for the city. His anger simmered like a pot boiling over, and he plotted to cause trouble for his nephew. Amadi delved into dark magic, hoping to stir up trouble between Omimi and his master. Akudo, Omimi's loving mother, felt a heavy weight on her heart. She couldn't shake off the feeling of worry for her son, even though she knew he was chasing his dreams in the city. As night fell, She lay awake, her mind filled with thoughts of Omimi's safety. She sensed the darkness lurking, knowing that Amadi's evil intentions were at work. Despite her fears, Akudo managed to find some peace and drifted off to sleep. Her dreams filled with visions of her son's smiling face. But little did she know, the danger brewing in the shadows threatened to tear their family apart. The next morning, as the sun began to peek over the horizon, Ada rushed to her mother Akudo, her eyes wide with fear and concern. She recounted a terrible dream she had experienced during the night, a dream that filled her with dread and left her trembling. In my dream, I saw Omimi, Ada began, her voice quivering with emotions. He was surrounded by people in a big market, and they were accusing him of being a thief. Our uncle was among them, shouting for them to burn Omimi to death. Akudo's heart sank as she listened to Ada's words. The thought of her beloved son in danger sent shivers down her spine, and she knew they couldn't ignore the warning signs. Something wasn't right, and they needed to be vigilant and prayerful to protect Omimi from harm. With determination in her eyes, Akudo agreed with Ada's suggestion to involve their parish priest. Together, they would seek guidance and strength from their faith, trusting in the power of prayer to shield them from evil. Meanwhile, in the bustling city where Omimi served his master, trouble brewed beneath the surface. Some of his fellow apprentices, jealous of his favor with their master, conspired to frame him for theft. They planted their master's money in Omimi's bag, hoping to tarnish his reputation and see him punished. Unknown to them, their master had installed cameras throughout his shop and home, watching over his apprentices with a keen eye. And when their master confronted them with the evidence, all the apprentices were left speechless, their guilt exposed for all to see. Omimi, innocent and steadfast in his integrity, stood tall in the face of adversity. His master, recognizing his honesty and loyalty, cleared his name of all wrongdoing. With justice served and his honor restored, Omimi continued his work in the shop, his spirit undented by the challenges he had faced. Years passed, and Omimi continued to serve his master diligently, earning favor from many people in the city. Even his master's friends promised to contribute money and support him with the one his master will settle him with at the end of his apprenticeship. Omimi remained true to his values, just like his father Ikoha had taught him. He believed that a good name was worth more than riches. With only 2 years left until Omimi would be settled, he prayed to God to keep his mother and sister safe so they could enjoy the fruits of their labor together. Meanwhile, back in Awa, Amadi, who had married a few years earlier, suddenly fell ill with a stroke. He lay incapacitated, fortunate to have a caring wife and a young son by his side. Despite his condition, Amadi had his wife send for Akudo, Omimi's mother, summoning her to his home. Akudo was surprised when Amadi's wife arrived at her doorstep, delivering the unexpected message that Amadi wished to speak with her. She made her way to Amadi's house, where he spoke in cryptic words that puzzled Akudo. He insisted on the urgency of calling Omimi back for a family meeting, claiming he had something important to share with them. Confused but obliged to honor the request, Akudo agreed to send for Omimi to return home for the meeting as Amadi had requested. That same evening, Akudo called Omimi's master, explaining the situation and requesting Omimi's presence for the family meeting. She emphasized that Omimi would return to the city immediately after the meeting, ensuring that there would be no interruption to his apprenticeship. Omimi's master, being a kind and understanding man, listened attentively to Akudo's plea. He had grown fond of Omimi and understood the importance of family. With a reassuring tone, he assured Akudo that Omimi would be home before the weekend. "Don't worry, ma," he said reassuringly. Omimi will be here before the weekend. I promise everything will be fine. Grateful for his understanding and support, Akudo thanked him very much before hanging up the phone. With a sense of relief washing over her, she knew that Omimi would soon be by her side, even if only for a short while. Omimi, upon hearing the news from his master, felt a surge of gratitude and warmth fill his heart. He knew he was lucky to have such a compassionate and understanding master. With a sense of purpose, he began to prepare for the journey back to the village the next morning. As he packed his belongings and bid farewell to his fellow apprentices, Omimi couldn't help but feel a mixture of emotions swelling within him. He was eager to see his family, to be there for whatever awaited them at the meeting, but he also felt a pang of sadness at the thought of leaving his master and the life he had built in the city behind, if only for a brief moment. Yet, with determination and resolve, Omimi knew that his family needed him now more than ever. With a silent prayer on his lips, he embraced the journey that lay ahead, trusting in the bonds of love and the strength of their unity to guide them through whatever challenges they may face. Omimi arrived in his hometown of Awa, feeling a mixture of emotions as he walked the familiar paths that led to his father's house. Memories flooded his mind, both happy and sad, but he held onto the belief that the future held bright things for him and his family. As he approached the doorstep of his childhood home, he was greeted with overwhelming excitement by Akudo, his mother, and Ada, his sister. They exchanged warm hugs and shared stories of their past, reminiscing about the good old days. Akudo expressed her gratitude for Omimi's presence and the blessings he had brought to their lives. She spoke of his master's kindness and generosity, mentioning how he had even supported Ada's education at the university. They prayed that God would continue to bless him abundantly for his kindness. Then they sat down to enjoy a delicious meal of pounded yam and bitterleaf soup, Omimi's favorite. The aroma filled the air, and laughter echoed through the walls of their humble home as they talked about their simple joys of being together once again. The warmth of their bond enveloped them like a cozy blanket on a cold night, and for a moment, all worries and fears melted away. In that simple moment of togetherness, they found solace and comfort, knowing that no matter what the challenges lay ahead, they would face them united as a family. As they shared their stories and laughter around the table, Omimi's heart swelled with gratitude and love for his family. He knew that no matter where life took them, his roots would always be firmly planted in the soil of their shared memories and experiences. The next morning, Akudo and her children, Omimi and Ada, made their way to Amadi's house for the urgent meeting. As they entered, they were met with a sight they never expected. Amadi, their uncle, was shedding tears, his face concocted with anguish and remorse. The sight of the usually proud and stern Amadi reduced to tears shocked them all to the core. Amadi struggled to compose himself, his tears stifling his words and making it difficult for him to speak. But with trembling lips and a heavy heart, he began to confess. "Please, Akudo, forgive me for all the wrong I have done to you and your children," he pleaded. "I regret all my actions. I called this meeting because I have a confession to make. I killed Ikoha, my brother, because he took you away from me. My bitterness consumed me because I saw you first, yet he married you. I am sorry. Please forgive me, Akudo." With a trembling hand, Amadi handed over the land documents, acknowledging that they rightfully belonged to Akudo and her children. He begged for their forgiveness and pleaded for Akudo to take care of his wife and son, who were also her family. As the weight of Amadi's confession hung heavy in the air, he breathed his last. His words, a haunting echo of the regret that consumed him. The room fell into a solemn silence, tears streaming down their faces as they grappled with the magnitude of his words. Akudo and her children left Amadi's house, their hearts heavy with sorrow and forgiveness mingled together. In the days that followed, they mourned the loss of Amadi, grappling with the complexities of love, betrayal and redemption. 2 days after their uncle's confession, Omimi returned to the city, his heart heavy with the weight of the truth revealed. Despite the pain and heartache, he held on to the belief that everything happened for a reason, trusting in God's plan and even in the face of adversity. 2 years later, Omimi's master fulfilled his promises and settled Omimi with a generous sum of money and a shop to start his own business. Omimi's master's friends also came through, supporting Omimi as they had pledged. With determination and hard work, Omimi's business flourished, expanding both locally and internationally. Filled with gratitude and a sense of responsibility, Omimi decided to bring his mother Akudo and sister Ada to live with him in the bustling city of Lagos. Despite the challenges they had faced in the past, there was no bitterness in Omimi's heart. Instead, he extended a hand of kindness to his late uncle's wife and son, opening a business for them in the village and ensuring they were cared for. Reflecting on the journey he had traveled, Omimi realized the true essence of life. In its vastness, he understood that love and compassion were the greatest treasures one could possess. He embraced the philosophy of being his brother's keeper, extending kindness and support to those in need. As the sun set on their past struggles, Akudo and her children found happiness once again in the warmth of Omimi's love and the promise of a bright future. Together they forged a new chapter in their lives, guided by the principles of love, forgiveness and unity. And so, my dear friends, the story ends here, with Omimi and his family standing tall, their hearts overflowing with gratitude and hope. In the tapestry of their lives, they had woven threads of resilience and compassion, proving that even in the face of adversity, love always triumphs in the end. As they looked ahead to the future, they knew that with love as their compass, they could navigate any storm and emerge stronger than before. And so, with hearts full of joy and spirits soaring, they embraced the beauty of life's journey, knowing that together they were unstoppable. The most important lesson in this story is that love, forgiveness, and compassion can heal even the deepest wounds. And by being kind to others and helping those in need, we create a world where everyone can find happiness and peace, showing that no matter what challenges we face, with love in our hearts, we can overcome anything and build a better tomorrow for ourselves and those around us. And also in this story, we learn that it is very important for a woman to have something doing, like a job or a skill, so that if their husband passes away, they can take care of themselves and their children without depending on others, showing that when women are independent and they have their own way of earning money, they can protect their family from any harm and live a happy life and secure their children's future. Even when they face adversities or difficult situations, they will find way around it. Thank you so much for watching. Please kindly comment, like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.